Today we'll be doing another part of World of Asia, World of Europe. So we have gone through a lot of parts of this series. Why I made so many parts of the series? Because it's my favorite series of them all. Obviously, once the series is over, we will do more series besides this one. But there will be some major events today. We'll be starting off in Europe. The expansion of the Tamara colony will continue. They will go into further parts of France, creating a new ethnic makeup, which mostly comprised of many peoples from the Middle East and Tamara itself. So basically, the various ethnicities of the Middle East, people from Travesta, Monama, and even people from this Moroccan nation, the ethnic makeup or ancestry makeup is 63% from Tamara. Well, 10% from other European nations, 10% from Monama and this Moroccan state, so that's around 83% of the population, 7% from these countries. All of these nations, around 7%, and 2% from these countries, and there is a small 1% population from every other country in East Asia. So this is like the first actual colony nation. Well, it isn't a ethno-state, and this country will continue to expand into France and Spain, colonizing a lot of the coastal regions and even going all the way up to Brittany, becoming the first official colony. We'll be naming this colony as Gaza, and this colony's capital, the colonial capital, is here. And yeah, that's the official colony name. However, a new country pops up in Spain. This is this weirdest yellow team. They mostly exist down here. They are officially establishing their own country, and their capital will be right around here. This is the Spain. Yeah, this is the country name is Spain, and it is officially mostly people who migrated from here and here, creating basically eventually over time the peoples of here will become their own unique ethnic group and ethnic makeup. Also, a new country in the Balkans appears. Okay, we're using the same exact color. A new country in the Balkans appears as this weird brownish color. This country will now exist, and Serbia will be a new country. This country will have its capital right here, and it will be continue the settlement and expansion into the European continent as a major important country. Meanwhile, some drama is happening in the Zenese Empire. The southern portion of the Zenese Empire, the Zenese Empire falls into its first civil war. The southern portion, or the southern king, wants, to basically take power, and the southern king doesn't really has some support of some of these countries down here, but again, this is the most powerful nation in the world. Again, the Zenese Empire does not have plot armor, and the other king starts to expand his land outward towards the capital, and they start to expand into these upper areas up here. Also, the Koreans start to gain their independence and fight for their independence as well. However, the new emperor takes the capital, and the new emperor is a expansionist emperor. They try not to expand too much as they realize it could hurt the empire, but the Zenese Empire, this new emperor starts to expand into the bad lands, the forbidden lands. This is a costly mistake for the new emperor, as barbarians from up here start to basically invade these northern areas, even cutting off this area altogether. This is a very, very bad day for the Zenese Empire. Yeah, what does he use in the eraser? Very bad day for the Zenese Empire as they cut off from Korea now. This is a major blow. Yeah. So basically, Zenese Empire has been split in half. This will create the Eastern and Western Zenese Empire. Yeah. A new king, the new Korean government is put up, and basically, yeah, we're seeing the fall of the Zenese Empire. Yeah. As the country is split into two parts. Savi would be proud. But the Zenese Empire is fall. No one predicted to happen. They also lose control over these islands here as well, as they are no longer able to have these colonies. They don't ever gain their independence as they weren't fully established, but they may appear as future countries in the future. Zhao, who is left all alone to survive, starts to expand. Zhao is basically now isolated from the rest of the world, as the Zenese Empire from home collapsed. The East Zenese Empire has a capital in Korea, and they established the capital in where Pyongyang is. So, the East Zenese Empire, however, starts to expand north and further around this river as well, and they start to settle more of the Amur region. And they stop. As they realize that this is too cold, this is like too dangerous to do, so they kind of stop. The West Zenese Empire, however, continues to fall as well, as Wuzi gain a province in the southern portion of the country gains its independence. Wuzi gains its independence. This is a province that actually this was the biggest province, as it was the least populated. Also, Sinan gains its independence as well, which is a province down here. And Kong gains its independence as well. This is a very bad day for the West Zenese Empire. The king can't really do anything to get back, as the current government is too weak. Also, this Korean island switches to the West Zenese Empire, and also Taiwan gains its independence. Then, Zeta gains its independence. Which was a kind of a neglected province, but Zeta finally gets its independence as well. And Sisa, which is this country down here, starts to expand into the Philippine Islands even more, starting to create a official civilization down here. They realize that this big island is connected, so they annex the whole region here, and they annex all these islands here. The West Zenese Empire continues to lose even more land to the barbarians, as a new country is now created. The barbarians created their country, and the Amateur Horde was created. This is basically kind of like the Huns. They're very unpopulated, but they're winning because they have brutality on their side. The Amateur Horde continues to expand into the West Zenese Empire, as more provinces break away, including one big province. One country that was destroyed but now exists again, and that is Tari. They're back. The West Indies Empire is basically taken over by this horde. The horde doesn't really have a capital. And the predefined borders are here. The West Indies Empire lost a lot of land this video. They lost Tavi, they lost Ruvi, Kang, Seta, and they're no longer even the most powerful country. Now the Continental is the most powerful country in the world, followed by West Indies Empire, then East Indies Empire, followed in fourth place would be Tamara, and fifth place would be Aston. So Tamara continues to expand into the quote-unquote no man's land. And they have a border now going up towards Feta. And that's who they declare war on. They declare war on Feta over there to get their southernmost province. And they basically do that. Feta is now removed of its southernmost province, but they do expand into the Caucasus Mountains to basically close up the gap here. And Feta now is this weird mountain nation that exists now. So, yeah, they exist in the mountains. Tamara is also fed up of some of these nations existing down here, and they invade them. First is Iris, so this is the country that gained its independence. Tamara basically defeats them and annexes them. This country is extremely weak. They had no population. Now Tamara owns a lot. Basically, it's becoming like the Ottoman Empire. Yeah. And the last, but not least target, is to annex and defeat Persia, or Aston. Then, they first invaded Travesta, which is this country right here. This is basically the remnants of the Travestan dynasty. And they are basically invaded as well. And the people here do not like being a part of Travesta. They actually do not. This maroon color country breaks away from Travesta, and we see the fall of Travesta right there. So the Treaty of Cobra, which is the capital of Travesta, basically this maroon color country, which is basically up here, now gained its independence. And the Travesta dynasty will be nowadays remembered as a historic dynasty. The people here, the Iranians, finally gained their independence. The Iranians finally gained their Iranians finally get their independence, where they're glad that the Travestans do not rule over them anymore. As well, the Iranians also request some of the land from Gatana also some of the lands from Gatana gained their independence as well. Yeah, as basically no one lived there anyways. Now it's the Tamaran-Astan War. This is going to be a massive war, the war for Persia. Pentanorian also joins in on this war, and they want their old lands back. Pentanorian starts to invade Astan from the north. Meanwhile, Tamara wants to take over a lot of the more populated lands that actually matter. Nova also joins on the war, and it's a major mistake, as Tamara starts to invade Nova from basically the upper peninsula here, the upper portion of the peninsula. And Astan's capital has been taken out. So Astan basically was a country that everybody thought had plot armor, but no, they do not. They lose very quickly to Tamara, as well as basically Tamara creates its first ever true empire. Yeah, this pinkish nation also declares its independence from Astan here. And this white bluish nation also declares its independence. Aztlan, one of the oldest nations in the world, finally is defeated. Dead. Aztlan say its final goodbyes to the world, and they are fully defeated and annexed. So the peace treaty here, Pentanovan will gain all of this land up here, which is their former lands. As Pentanovan kind of started around here, this country will gain its independence and actually gain a lot of land. And the pink color country will also gain all of its land back, and Aztlan will be annexed fully by Tamara. This makes Tamara the unrivaled country in the Middle East. They also annex the northern portion of Nova, basically create a divide between. If Nova ever gets its land back, it'll create this divide between people here and here, as Tamara will encourage settlement from all around the country to basically all of here. However, these two new countries, which did not want to be a part of Aztlan anymore, will be named. Gavissa and Trenti will gain its boat, these are the provinces, will finally gain their independence as well. Tamara also declares itself as also an empire now. The king basically got what he wanted. They have an empire now that stretches from Persia to the Mediterranean as well. They took down basically all of the rivals here, and there we go. Meanwhile, Yami starts to continue to expand into Eritrea, and there was actually now some new countries in sub-Saharan Africa. People from Asia and West Christie settle on this little. Okay, is this the same? No, it isn't. Settle here, and this is the first sub-Saharan African nation. Africa has mostly been left uncolonized. With, there were people here, but they have been mostly few in numbers, as they were mostly hunter-gatherers. But there is this new civilization that starts around up here in Lake Victoria, and they start to expand towards this lake right here. They are even more isolated than Ursia is in the Somali nations, which makes this country the poorest country in the world, as they're so isolated from the rest of the world. And the main trade routes go through Europe and Asia and North Africa, but none go through Africa. So this country is, besides this little nation here, are amongst the poorest nations in the world, alongside this Russian nation and equal, are amongst the poorest nations in the world. The Moroccan nation, which was created like last time, this country starts to expand, and now they even have a name. Crissa is the name of the country. This is the country's name as well. Another African nation pops up here, and this is this pinkest country here, this dark pink. They create their own nation around here. Basically, these countries are very, very undeveloped because they are very isolated from the rest of the world. But hey, they'll have someone to trade with now. These two countries can now trade with each other. They do trade with Asia and Crisia, which are the only countries they really trade with. They also trade with Somali too, and the Nova territories as well. But this isn't a. These countries are very isolated from the rest of the world. Neba, however, wants to expand further into Africa. Okay. And they start to expand towards a lot of the water sources in Africa. And they expand even more. Also, a new North African nation is formed. This country right here, from people from all surrounding nations, including the colony, start to form this little country here, creating basically a full North Africa. So North Africa is fully colonized outside the Sahara area, and this country will not have a name like the Bangkok nation for a little bit, because this country is mostly like upper land. But we're giving this country's name is Oran, which is an actual city, but also like the name. So Oran is the official country's name. Tomorrow doesn't have any beef with Monama, so they get to exist. Same thing on Nima and Safid. They just didn't like the country Iris because they didn't like the name, which I don't blame them. So that country is eliminated. Also, Krika starts to expand further north. Krika starts to expand further north here, and Darwin starts to expand over here, and now the Balkans officially are established. Asti, the country here, starts to expand. And Darwin also expands north here, and now Europe is now starting to be established. Meanwhile, in the West Indies Empire continues to have more bad news, as yet another province breaks away. It's this little province right here, and it's Sifa, and this province also breaks away from West Indies Empire. Yeah. Also, the former territories of Sizu gained their independence. It was originally Caesar, but they changed it to Sizu because that's how the Zenese Empire was, and their capital will be right here. The West Indies Empire basically completely collapses. Besides the capital region, which stays because of the religious people. Basically, this entire country just collapses, kind of like the Western Roman Empire did, and means the country is occupied by no one. What? Zal, which is the remaining capital city, they gained their independence, and the Amshor Horde is the owner of the rest of this land, for now. But the Zenese Empire still exists in the East Zenese Empire. Yeah, they exist. And they also start to expand even more north than the Zenese Empire did, because the Amshor Horde is now the most powerful nation in the world. But the problem is, the Amshor Horde is very unstable over here. They are more stable over here, but they're very unstable, as the people here do not like being ruled by the Amshor Horde. And also, once the king of the Amshor Horde died, the country basically collapses anyways, which we'll do that next episode. But as Garcia continues to expand into France, and they also touched borders with Alp. They also discovered the British Isles exist, which the northern part of Asgarcia is now a different colony. Fry is a separate colony. They will have a colonial capital here. and this will also be owned by Tomorrow. Tomorrow will also set up a third colony, which is up here. People from all over Tomorrow in the Middle East and Africa settle these colonies. So it's a good mix of different ethnicities in these areas, kind of like Latin America, modern day Latin America, and the United States. This country would be a good mix of European ethnicities over here, and people here, people in the Middle East, and people in India, even and Sub-Saharan Africa, even move to these colonies to basically, reap the reward of these colonies. So the colonial capital is right here, and they expand into Britain, then here, and that's the third colony, and this is Roipi, and that's the Tomorrow name for Britain, but it's Isles, and these are three official colonies. Tomorrow also sets up a fourth colony in Africa. They are the first actual colonial power besides Zeni's empire, with still colonial holdings didn't really last. They didn't really even form any governments, but they do form a African colony here to basically, connect the trade routes, and they discovered that there's way more than just Asia. And they start to expand further down, and they discover a lot of minerals and resources here, so they basically just expand down here just for the minerals and resources. Sahi, which is another Tomaran colony, exists now. This makes Tomorrow now the most powerful nation in the world, surpassing the Continental at number 1. The Continental also had colonies as well, but the Continental doesn't want to be left behind, so they set up their own colonies in Africa. The Continental set up the first ever colonial country, which is right here. So basically, the scramble of Africa happens way earlier than expected, because they want all these resources. And Behu, is established as an official colony here. And that's the official colony. Tomorrow is this effect. Also, they declare war on Nova to take over the Madagascar colony. Nova can't really do anything about it, and now it is officially a part of the Continental. And Continental starts to actually expand this colony as they have way more power than Nova. And Pigua is created. That's basically just the Continente's official name for the colony. So basically now there's this colonial battle for the world between the Continental and Tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Zeni's empire has collapsed, but a new country will rise out of here, creating the first colonies in North America. Also, there's the East Zeni's empire, which rechanges the country's name because they are the original Korean culture is extinct, but the East Zeni's empire is now its own new culture. So they will rechange the country's name to Kanto. That's the new official name of the country. Also, Sunni and Sichuan. Sichuan annexes these little islands down here, really nothing special. Also, Sunni starts to set up its own colony. So basically, the age of exploration begins after the collapse of the Zeni's empire. Yeah, so basically, Asian nations are now colonizing the world here, as this is basically the earlier version of America. These countries will be basically Asian European colonies. Yeah, very strange. strains, but these colonies will continue to expand and create even more colonies as time goes by. And yeah, that is it for this video. So these colonies are now being created as well. So a lot have happened. Next episode we might focus on India, but we'll definitely focus over here as that will be the main focus. Goodbye.